Here's a motivational script titled, "You Will Surprise Yourself," crafted in a compassionate and encouraging tone, following the relatable, impactful style you've described. A method for thriving. Here's a motivational script titled, "You Will Surprise Yourself." Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful, something that may be hard to believe right now, but right now it needs to be true. You are far more capable than you think. So, you are wired for growth, for triumph, for incredible accomplishments. But here's the truth. Most of us have been conditioned to think small, to doubt, to question our worth and ability. We've been taught to avoid risks, to play safe, and to stick to what feels comfortable. We've been told that greatness belongs to other people, not us. But let me tell you this. That voice in your head, the one whispering, "You're not enough," that voice is not you. It's an echo of someone else's doubt, someone else's fear, someone else's belief. You weren't born with it. It's something you picked up along the way. And here's the best news. What you pick up, you can put down. Every single one of us has a mind designed to help us succeed. Yes, even you. It's not about being lucky or special. It's about understanding one simple, life-changing fact. Your mind is always on the defense. Your mind believes what you tell it. Tell it you're not good enough, it believes you. Tell you'll fail before you even try, it believes that too. But tell it you are capable, resilient, and ready to rise, your mind will believe that as well. Your words are instructions, they're programming, and when you change the instructions, you change your outcomes. It's easy to list all the reasons why you can't do something. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the experience. But it's too late for me. But here's the thing, every time you argue for your limitations, you're choosing to hold on to them. You're giving them power. Instead, fight for your potential. Argue for your dreams. Speak life into what you want, not what you fear. Because when you stop telling yourself, "I can't," you leave room for the voice that says, "What if I can?" You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect plan or a guaranteed outcome. You just need one thing, the courage to take the first step. And then the next, and the next. Because the truth is, action creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence. And confidence changes everything. Even if it's messy, even if it feels small, progress is progress. Progress is progress. And this idea that we repress things, make them not exist, you might stumble, you might fall. That's okay. Falling isn't failure, it's feedback. It's part of learning, part of growing, part of the journey to surprising yourself. Picture yourself 1 year from now. What do you see? If you keep believing you're stuck, that nothing will ever change, a year from now might look exactly like today. But if you start believing in the possibility of more, if you take small steps toward your dreams, a year from now could be unrecognizable. You could look back and say, "I did it. I became the person I didn't think I could be. I achieved what I once thought was impossible. Right now, in this moment, you are enough." You don't need to become someone else. You don't need anyone's permission. Everything you need is already within you. It might be buried under doubt, fear, or self-criticism, but it's there. Lance Lute. And as you start to trust yourself, as you start to say, "I can," you'll uncover strength you didn't know you had. You've surprised yourself before, haven't you? There was a time you thought you couldn't get through something, and yet you did. There was a moment where you doubted your ability, but somehow you rose above. let this be another one of those moments. Because I promise you this, if you show up for yourself, if you keep going when it's hard, if you choose to believe in your potential instead of your limitations, you will surprise yourself again. So start now. Start messy. Start scared. Just start. And one day soon, you'll look back and smile because the person you are becoming will be everything you hope for and more. Your mind is your most powerful ally or your greatest barrier, and it all depends on the messages you give it. Every thought you think and every word you say to yourself is interpreted by your mind as a direct instruction. It doesn't evaluate whether your words are true or false. It simply absorbs them and acts accordingly. Think about it. When you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, your mind doesn't question you. It accepts that statement as a fact and starts to look for evidence to support it. You begin to notice moments that reinforce this belief, and you overlook or downplay times when you've been capable, strong, or successful. The more you repeat those negative statements, the stronger they become, carving deep grooves in your thinking. But the incredible thing is that the opposite is also true. If you tell yourself, I am capable, your mind will begin to find ways to confirm that belief too. It will start to highlight your strengths, your past successes, and the qualities that make you unique. Over time, those positive affirmations become just as deeply ingrained as the negative ones, but instead of holding you back, they propel you forward. And the way you speak to yourself matters more than you might realize. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a joke, a habit of self-deprecation, or a genuine belief. If you constantly say, I always mess things up, your mind works to make that true because it thrives on consistency. If instead you say, I'm learning and improving every day, your mind will align with that perspective and help you grow. We often underestimate how much control we have over our internal dialogue. Many of the beliefs we carry about ourselves are old, outdated, or even inherited from others. They aren't absolute truths. They're just ideas we've repeated so often that they've started to feel real. But here's the empowering truth. You have the ability to rewrite those beliefs. You can choose to tell your mind a different story. It starts with being intentional. Pay attention to your inner dialogue and notice the words you use. Are they empowering or limiting, supportive or critical? When you catch yourself saying something negative, challenge it. Replace it with something constructive, even if it feels unnatural at first. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And eventually, those positive messages will feel authentic and automatic. Your mind is incredibly adaptive. It's not fixed or rigid. It responds to what you feed it. When you nourish it with thoughts of confidence, strength, and possibility, it becomes a powerful force that works tirelessly to support you. You might not see the shift overnight, but with consistent effort, you'll begin to notice changes. Your actions will align with your new beliefs, and you'll start achieving things you once thought were out of reach. We often find ourselves trapped in a loop of reasons why something isn't possible for us. These reasons can feel so real, so convincing, that they start to define the edges of what we believe we can do. It's easy to think, I'm not qualified enough, I don't have the right resources, or it's just too late for me. These statements may feel like facts, but they're not. They're stories we tell ourselves. They're arguments we've built to explain why we should stay where we are, why it's safer to hold back, why it's better not to try. Arguing for your limitations can feel comforting in a way. It removes the pressure to take risks. It gives you an out, a reason to avoid failure or rejection. But here's the problem. Every time you argue for your limitations, you make them stronger. You reinforce the walls around you and convince yourself that you have no choice but to stay within them. You might even start to believe that those walls were always there, immovable and unchangeable. But what if you stopped defending those limitations? What if you redirected all that Action is the catalyst for everything you want to achieve. It is the force that transforms ideas into reality, dreams into accomplishments, and potential into results. Without action, even the most brilliant plans and intentions remain nothing more than thoughts in your mind. But here's the remarkable thing: the size of the action doesn't matter, as much as simply taking that first step. The biggest misconception people have is believing they need everything to be perfectly aligned before they act. They think they need to have all the answers, every resource, or an absolute guarantee of success before making a move. But waiting for perfection only leads to stagnation. The truth is, you don't need to see the entire path ahead. You just need to take the next step. Even the smallest action creates momentum, and that momentum begins to shift your mindset and open doors you never imagined. When you take action, no matter how small, you send a powerful message to yourself. You say, I am capable, and I'm moving forward. This message is more significant than you might realize because it starts to shape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone stuck or incapable and start seeing yourself as someone who is trying, someone who is progressing, someone who is determined to grow. Momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in personal growth. One small action leads to another and another, creating a ripple effect that pushes you forward. Suddenly, what felt overwhelming or impossible begins to feel achievable because you're already in motion. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Small actions compound over time, and those little victories build your confidence. Confidence, in turn, fuels further action. It's a cycle. Action creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence. And confidence encourages more action. Even if you stumble or face setbacks, the simple act of moving forward strengthens your resilience. You begin to realize that failure isn't the end. It's just a part of the process. Many people underestimate the power of imperfect action. They think if it's not flawless, it's not worth doing. But waiting for perfection is just another form of procrastination. Taking imperfect action allows you to learn, adjust, and improve as you go. It's through action, messy, uncertain, and sometimes uncomfortable, that you discover your strengths and uncover opportunities you couldn't have predicted. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful started with a single step. They didn't have it all figured out from the beginning. They simply acted, learned, and grew. The same is true for you. When you act, you give yourself the chance to create momentum. And with that momentum, you begin to see possibilities that were once hidden. Action is what turns your goals into reality, not because it guarantees success, but because it propels you forward, closer to who you want to be and what you want to achieve. Falling is often misunderstood. People see it as failure, as proof that they weren't good enough, or as a sign that they should stop trying, but falling is none of those things. Falling is feedback. It's the natural outcome of stepping outside your comfort zone, of pushing beyond what feels safe and familiar. It's a sign that you are in motion, that you are growing, and that you are trying. Think about when you first learned to walk. You fell countless times. But as a baby, you didn't stop trying because you didn't know how to interpret falling as failure. Instead, you instinctively understood it as part of the process. Every time you fell, you learned something new. You adjusted, you tried again, and eventually you succeeded. The same principle applies to every area of life, no matter your age or your goal. When you fall, it means you are stretching yourself. You're stepping into unknown territory, and that's where growth happens. If you never fall, it likely means you're playing it too safe, staying within the boundaries of what you already know. But growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens in the discomfort of trying, failing, and learning. Falling provides you with valuable information. It shows you what works and what doesn't, where your strengths lie, and what areas need more attention. It's a form of immediate feedback that gives you the tools to improve. Instead of seeing it as an endpoint, view it as a step in the right direction. Falling doesn't mean you're starting over, it means you're building on what you've learned. The fear of falling often holds people back more than falling itself ever could. The anticipation of things going wrong can paralyze you, keeping you stuck in inaction. But when you realize that falling is not the enemy, it loses its power over you. It becomes just another step in the process, something to embrace rather than fear. Every successful person you admire has fallen, often more times than you can imagine. They've faced rejection, made mistakes, and experienced setbacks. The difference is that they didn't let those falls define them. They used them as fuel to keep going, to get better, and to ultimately succeed. Falling also builds resilience. It shows you that you can survive setbacks, that you're stronger than you think, and that you have the ability. Each time you get back up, you reinforce your own strength and determination. It's in those moments of rising that you grow into the person capable of achieving your goals. There is no shame in falling. The only shame is in refusing to try for fear of it. When you fall, you prove to yourself that you are willing to take risks, to put yourself out there, and to fight for what matters. Falling is not failure, it's a necessary part of success. Right now, in this moment, you are enough. This isn't about someday or some imagined version of yourself. It's not about when you've achieved more, when you've learned more, or when you've become someone different. It's about recognizing that you are already complete as you are. The world has conditioned us to believe that we're always missing something. It tells us we need to be smarter, thinner, richer, or more accomplished to have value. We're bombarded with messages that say we must strive constantly to become enough. But this belief is both harmful and false. You don't need to earn your worth, it's already within you. Many of us spend so much time focusing on what we lack that we fail to see what we already have. We become blind to our own strengths, talents, and unique qualities because we're too busy comparing ourselves to others. But the truth is, no one else has walked your path. No one else has faced your challenges, learned your lessons, or lived your story. What you've been through has shaped you in ways that make you uniquely equipped to navigate your journey. Being enough doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean there's nothing you want to improve or achieve. It means recognizing that your worth isn't tied to those things. You can grow and evolve while still knowing that you're whole. The belief that you need to be someone else or do something extraordinary to be valuable only keeps you stuck in a cycle of inadequacy. When you embrace the idea that you are enough, you allow yourself to let go of the pressure to prove your worth. You stop chasing external validation and start tuning into your own inner voice. That voice has been drowned out by doubt and criticism, but it's there. It's the voice that reminds you of your resilience, your courage, and your ability to rise. Recognizing your enoughness doesn't mean settling or giving up on your dreams. On the contrary, it gives you a solid foundation to build on. When you know you're enough, you're not chasing goals out of fear or desperation. Instead, you're pursuing them from a place of confidence and self-belief. You're able to enjoy the process because your value doesn't hinge on the outcome. Think about how different your life could be if you stopped questioning whether you're good enough and started embracing all that you already are. Imagine the freedom of not having to prove anything to anyone. When you start to see yourself as enough, you give yourself permission to show up fully, to take risks, and to live authentically. It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about accepting that you're a work in progress, and that's okay. You are worthy of love, success, and happiness exactly as you are, not because of what you do or achieve, but simply because you exist. You are enough. Enough. Progress is one of the most overlooked and undervalued parts of any journey. So often people are fixated on the finish line, on the ultimate goal that they fail to notice how far they've already come. But progress, not perfection, is what creates real change. It's the small, consistent steps forward that build momentum and lead to lasting transformation. Perfection is an illusion, a mirage that always seems just out of reach. It convinces you that if things aren't flawless, they're not good enough. It tells you that if you make a mistake or fall short, your effort is wasted. But perfection isn't the goal, growth is. And growth happens through progress, through trying, learning, and improving, not through getting everything right all the time. When you focus on progress, you shift your mindset from all or nothing to step by step. You allow yourself to celebrate the wins along the way, no matter how small they may seem. Each step forward is evidence of your commitment, your effort, and your resilience. It's proof that you are moving in the right direction, even if the path isn't perfect. Progress is messy. It's filled with setbacks, challenges, and moments where it feels like you're moving backward. But every time you show up, even when it's hard, you're making progress. Every time you learn something new or recover from a mistake, you're growing. These moments might not feel significant at the time, but they add up. They are the building blocks of your success. Perfection, on the other hand, can be paralyzing. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of overthinking and fear. You might wait for the perfect time to start or hold back because you're afraid of making mistakes. But waiting for perfection only delays your progress. It robs you of the opportunity to learn, to improve, and to discover what you're capable of. Progress requires patience and persistence. It's about showing up consistently even when it feels like you're not moving fast enough or doing well enough. It's about trusting that the effort you put in today will pay off tomorrow. Every step you take, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to your goal. When you focus on progress, you also free yourself from the need for constant validation. You stop measuring your worth by the outcome and start valuing the effort itself. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than as barriers to success. This mindset allows you to keep moving forward, even in the face of uncertainty. Progress isn't about comparing yourself to others or trying to match someone else's journey. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. It's about recognizing that every small action matters, that every lesson learned is a step in the right direction. When you value progress over perfection, you open the door to possibilities, to growth, and to a future built on steady, meaningful change. There is a profound and often overlooked truth about human potential. You are capable of far more than you realize. The only way to truly understand this is by stepping into the unknown, taking chances, and showing up for yourself, even when you're unsure of the outcome. Time and time again, people surprise themselves with what they can achieve when they decide to push past their doubts and simply try. Think about the moments in your life when you faced something that seemed insurmountable at first. Maybe it was a difficult decision, a new challenge, or a situation you didn't feel prepared for. In those moments, you likely felt fear, doubt, or hesitation. But when you pushed through, something incredible happened. You found strength you didn't know you had. You rose to meet the challenge. You accomplished something you once thought was beyond your ability. What's most surprising about these experiences is how often they reveal that the limits we think we have are not real. They are mental barriers, stories we've told ourselves, often shaped by fear or past experiences. We convince ourselves that we're not ready, not skilled enough, or not worthy, and those beliefs become the walls that confine us. But the moment you step outside of those walls, even just a little, you begin to see how much more is possible. The key to surprising yourself is action. You don't need to have absolute confidence before you start. You don't need to know exactly how things will turn out. You just need to take the first step. That step might feel small or insignificant, but it's not. It's a declaration to yourself that you are willing to try, that you believe in the possibility of more. When you show up and take action, you tap into a part of yourself that thrives on growth and challenge. You begin to stretch your abilities, and with each effort you build momentum. That momentum doesn't just move you forward, it transforms how you see yourself. Suddenly you're no longer someone who can't, you're someone who can, who's capable, and who is growing and evolving. Surprising yourself doesn't mean that everything will always be easy or go exactly as planned. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable. But even in those moments, you'll find that you are more resilient and resourceful than you imagined. You'll discover that you have the ability to adapt, to learn, and to keep moving forward. Every time you push past doubt, every time you step into uncertainty, you open the door to discovering new strengths, talents, and possibilities within yourself. The person you think you are right now is only a fraction of who you can become. By showing up for yourself, by trying even when it's hard, you unlock potential that has been waiting for you all along. You'll look back and realize that the only thing standing in your way was the belief that you couldn't do it. And when you overcome that belief, you open yourself up to a future full of possibilities you never imagined.